Most gardeners reach for mulch as a reflex. Straw, wood chips, leaves, cardboard, layer after layer added each season to protect soil that seems constantly under threat. What stopped me cold was noticing areas of my garden where mulch had disappeared entirely, yet the soil beneath remained dark, cool, moist and alive. These were not neglected patches. They were dominated by plants that reseeded themselves year after year, forming a living skin over the ground. Ancient farmers would have recognized this immediately. Before bagged mulch, before shredded bark, self-sowing plants were the mulch. What modern gardening treats as weeds were once deliberately encouraged because they performed the same job more efficiently without human labour. Self-sowing plants replaced mulch in historical systems because they solved several problems at once. In traditional farming systems across Europe, the Middle East and parts of Asia, self-sowing ground plants were not removed unless they competed directly with crops. They shaded soil, reduced evaporation, protected against erosion, and, they fed soil life continuously. Unlike dead mulch, living plants adjust to weather in real time. During heat, they increase shade. During rain, their roots hold soil. During drought, many slow growth, but remain in place, preventing bare ground exposure. What eliminated mulching in my garden was allowing these plants to complete their life cycle instead of cutting them down early. The key shift was stopping the instinct to tidy. These specific self-sowing plants act as living mulch rather than competitors. Not all self-sowers behave the same, The plants that replace mulch share several traits. They germinate easily, stay low to the ground, tolerate foot traffic or disturbance, and do not form aggressive taproots that disrupt crops. Examples include purslane, lamb's quarters, chickweed, miner's lettuce, calendula, dill, cilantro, and certain clovers. Many of these appear in historical texts as food, medicine or soil companions. Their seeds fall at maturity and sprout in the exact conditions they prefer, which means they naturally match your soil and climate. In practice, this means letting these plants flower and set seed, then cutting them back lightly rather than removing them entirely. Their seeds fall into protected soil already shaded and moist. The soil benefits accumulate faster than with conventional mulch. Dead mulch insulates soil but does not photosynthesize. Living mulch feeds soil continuously through root exudates. Sugars, amino acids and organic acids, leak from roots and fuel microbial life. This, in turn, accelerates humus formation in a way that surface mulch simply cannot. After one full season of allowing self-sowers to dominate open ground, soil structure, it improves noticeably. The surface becomes crumbly instead of crusted. Water infiltration improves. Worm activity increases. This mirrors what archaeologists find in ancient garden soils, where ground was rarely left bare. You see, weed pressure drops because the soil is never exposed. Bare soil, well, it just invites opportunistic plants that are adapted to disturbance, doesn't it? Living mulch, it prevents that disturbance signal. Self-sowers, they occupy the ecological niche that would otherwise be claimed by aggressive weeds. The method, well, it really requires restraint. When a self-sowing plant appears where it's not wanted, it's simply clipped at soil level rather than pulled. This leaves the roots intact, preserving soil structure, while also preventing seed set in those unwanted areas. Over time, the plant community becomes predictable and manageable. Self-sowing plants regulate moisture better than any layered mulch system. Because living plants respond dynamically, they really do outperform static mulch in variable conditions. During heavy rain, their leaves slow water impact and their roots create channels for infiltration. During drought, their canopy reduces evaporation more effectively than straw or chips, you see. So, a practical step here is to water deeply early in the season, then simply allow self-sowers to emerge naturally. Once they're established, you'll find that the irrigation needs drop significantly. In my own case, beds that previously required weekly watering now, well, they hold moisture for twice as long. Allowing seed set is honestly the critical step most gardeners skip. Modern gardening often removes plants at their peak growth, but ancient systems, well, they allowed plants to reach full maturity. Seed set isn't a failure of control. Actually, it's how the system sustains itself, really. To apply this intentionally, just identify 2 or 3 beneficial self-sowers in your garden and allow them to flower fully. Once seeds mature, you'll want to cut the plants back and, well, just leave the residue right in place. This creates immediate ground cover and, ensures the next generation germinates in the same protected zone. Within, about 2 seasons, mulch actually becomes unnecessary in those areas. Transplant crops into gaps rather than clearing whole beds, and you'll find it works out quite nicely. Now, self-sowers act as nurse plants, shading those young crops and, well, helping to reduce transplant shock. As your crops grow, self-sowers can actually be thinned selectively, to make room where it's needed. This approach really mirrors those medieval and ancient polyculture systems, where crops and ground cover coexisted rather than, competing with each other. Productivity increases because, well, soil stress decreases. Why did modern gardening abandon this system despite its effectiveness? Living mulch just doesn't fit the visual standard of modern gardens. It looks, unmanaged to those who have been trained to expect bare soil. It also resists standardization. Each garden, well, it develops its own unique mix of self-sowers. Yet, this was precisely its strength historically. These plants, they've evolved with human cultivation, not against it. Removing them actually created the very problems that mulch now attempts to solve. This method, it replaces effort with observation rather than control. The real shift, honestly, is mental. Instead of asking how to cover soil, the question becomes which plants already want to do that work for you. Once identified, they require almost no input at all. If this kind of historically grounded, low-input soil strategy aligns with how you think about land and resilience, do consider subscribing to Hydra Haven for more techniques rooted in systems that sustained people long before modern inputs existed. And please, share this guide with others who value soil that maintains itself rather than soil that must be constantly managed.